So in America, ever since the 2010s, we've seen a loneliness epidemic pop up in our country. According to some polls from the APA, as many as 1 in 3 Americans feel lonely every single week. There's many possible causes for it, like that thing that happened in 2020. And then there's also our over-reliance on social media, which I think the over-reliance on social media is more of a cause for how isolated people have become. But today, I'm not going to be getting into the loneliness epidemic itself, as there are plenty of better videos on this platform from better creators breaking down the subject in depth. Instead, I'm going to go over something that has recently come to my mind surrounding the issue of loneliness in our society. Now, if you guys saw my last video, you'll see that I'm not exempt from experiencing a level of loneliness from time to time. Now, I'm not completely lonely. I have found a couple of good friends, and I'll go over how I made those connections in this video. But my social discontent more so lies from not being the cream of the crop, which is something else that I'm probably going to have to get into on this channel in the future. However, there are also a lot of people who haven't unlocked the luxury of being able to hang out with even 1 or 2 good friends over the course of a week. And some of this can be due to life circumstances, like you may not have the time, and I completely understand it. Work nowadays can be draining and long. However, I think also some of it is because you haven't been able to realize this one thing, this one little nugget that people around you or the people that you look up to online and in person haven't been able to tell you. And it's that the best connections are found when you connect with those who are in need of connection and support. Luke 15, 1-7, the parable of the lost sheep, does a good job at covering this dynamic from a biblical perspective. So this verse was taking place as Jesus was on his journey through the desert to Jerusalem, which culminated in the donkey entrance and ended ultimately on the cross. It was in this time that Jesus was performing miracles and teaching people who wanted to hear his teachings. In terms of the miracles, a good example was in John 9, when Jesus helped lead a man who was blind from birth to seeing just by rubbing some clay on his eyes and telling the man to wash. And in John 5, when he helped heal a man in the pool of Bethesda who was blind and paralyzed and who couldn't just get up to go into the water and heal. Long story short, Jesus helped make the man well, get up, and guided him into the water to wash off. These were the kinds of things that Jesus was doing for people at around this time. And what's interesting is that Jesus took it upon himself to help these people who were blind, paralyzed, or sick, but others wouldn't. A lot of people in ancient Israel at around this time saw these people who couldn't see and couldn't walk and chose not to heal them for a few reasons, but chief among them, they chose not to heal them because they thought that these people received these physical ailments due to sin and not due to bad luck. Essentially, they thought that these people deserved to suffer because of their own doing when they didn't really do anything wrong. They perceived these people as not worth their time and not worth their effort to heal, and were like, nah, I'm not going to be the person that tries to heal this guy. Keep this part in mind. So when Luke 15 comes around, both the tax collectors and the sinners come close to Jesus. The religious leaders, which are the Pharisees and the scribes in this case, were in the pack of people that were around Jesus, and instantly they complained. They thought that these two groups of people, the tax collectors and the sinners, were unholy and should have no place in society, and anybody who was associating with them was going against their traditions. The Pharisees and the scribes pointed at Jesus and said, "This man receives sinners and eats with them." Jesus then proceeded to spit a bar and responded by saying, "What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he loses one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing." Now, we know of this verse as the reference to the point saying, God looks for the one lost sheep among the 100. But what does it truly mean? Because there's a lot of people who weaponize this verse against people to say that they're lost. And some people don't know how to look for the lost sheep among the 100. And there are certainly some bad ways of doing it. And not to beat around the bush, but this verse can say a lot about the loneliness epidemic in our society. While many of us, myself included, remain preoccupied with our phones and keeping up with what's going on in the world on social media, there are people who are genuinely struggling around us. There's people struggling to find clothes to put on their back, struggling to find food. There are those who have nobody to talk to and hang around. But we turn a blind eye to those people because either we are distracted, or if we see these people, we perceive them as weird and not our problem. And this is while some of us ourselves have nobody to talk to and have a nice time with. This was me for a while. I was completely isolated with like 0 friends, and I shunned every opportunity I could to try to connect with people. And then I wondered why I was lonely. Well, it was part wondering why I was lonely, and then also part wondering why I wasn't able to make friends with the people that I wanted to be friends with. I wanted to be friends with established groups and people who already had connections themselves and who got attention from women and attention from really anybody at school, and the people that were popular and stuff like that. So I was like this, and then one day I was at the gym and I saw this one guy in a Leeds United shirt. And if you guys don't know, Leeds is my favorite football club. Now, I rarely approach people because I was in the mindset at the time that it was rude to approach people and unnecessary. But then I decided to approach the guy, and we instantly hit it off. He wasn't popular, he was a bit quirky, kind of like me, and he was a bit loud, kind of like me. But we connected because we had shared interests, but also because I was willing to settle and I was willing to befriend people who a more closed off version of me wasn't willing to befriend. I was willing to seek out not people who had connections and people who were in the herd of sheep, but people who were lonely and who were outcasted from the herd. It was more than just connecting with that one guy though. I'll probably speak more about the importance of being involved in social clubs, church groups, and places that are designed to be social, but volunteering also gave me some perspective about what some people are going through. Getting involved in my city's food pantry multiple times taught me that there are people out there who are just happy to even receive healthy food, hell, any kind of food to help them and their family get by. There's bigger issues out there than me being a quote-unquote outcast or not being able to get attention from women or whatever issues are presented on social media. And I say all that to say this. From my experience, the solution to loneliness comes in searching for connection with other people who need connection, and it comes from looking to serve those who need help. It comes in lowering your expectations in terms of the kind of people you're going to make connections with, and searching for people at your level or below that you may see at school, work, out and about, or volunteering even if you're about that. It is harder to find connection from people that are ahead of you. Oftentimes, somebody who is socially accepted by others will reject you because they really have no incentive to bring you in. You don't really offer them anything that they value. On the flip side, if you try to connect with outcasts and help those who are struggling, not only will that be blessed, not only will those people really appreciate you for giving them your time and support, but they're the ones who are most likely to be receptive to you. You're more likely to have better connections with people who you help and serve than people who you chase and leech off of. This is how your loneliness problem fades away. And this is the importance of finding the one lost sheep among the 100. It's important not just because you're helping somebody else become found, not just because God approves of it, He does, but also because that somebody else will help you become found. And that sounds like a fair deal, doesn't it? But anyways, guys, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys were able to take something away from this in terms of how to make connections and how to not be lonely. Like, subscribe, and comment down below what you thought. Stay safe, make smart decisions, seek out the lost, and most importantly, stay faithful.